Hi, and welcome to the HR Link, where we have people-first conversations that centre around the humans inside your business. I'm Amy from Grounded HR, and my superpower lies in my ability to zero in on the individual to bring out their unique strengths, whilst helping values-led Australian businesses lead their teams with confidence and care. Here you'll find simple, people-first HR conversations and tips to take the stress out of managing your team and put the humans at the centre of everything. So let's jump in. Hello and welcome to another episode. Today I want you to imagine that you're sitting there planning your first employee. They haven't come into your world yet and you haven't quite decided who that's going to be. Now, I can understand that bringing on your first team member is super exciting, but it can be very nerve-wracking and very overwhelming. I see this point in time as an opportunity. Now, I know a lot of you will have already hired your first employee. Others might be thinking about adding to their team for the first time. But we've all had experiences of what it's like to be a new employee. On our first job as a teenager, we're really nervous. We're entering a place we've never been before. We are working with people we've never met before. And so it's a really overwhelming process for all parties involved. So today I want to allay your fears, try and help you be a bit more prepared, and also make sure that you're considering your compliance in this process. So, hiring your first employee, or some in the early days, it's a really big opportunity for you to make sure that you're getting it right. Make sure that these people are culturally aligned to your business, that they fit within the values that you've set down that are really important to your business in how you deliver your services or your products. And it's really an opportunity for you to sit down and strategically decide who this person is going to be. Now, as an entrepreneur, quite often it can be you hire a bit too late. You're quite often too busy to actually do the onboarding part. What I try and encourage my clients and potential clients to do is to plan this out early. At what point where we're making money, at what point that we get to a certain amount of sales, whether it be a certain amount of products sold, at what point are we going to actually hire, and how can we proactively identify that point? Because then you're able to reverse engineer how you plan and how you are going to recruit that person. So I really want you to take this in a positive light and decide that hiring your first employee or your next employee is a really exciting opportunity. One of the fears, though, that so many small business owners identify is that the legal stuff. I don't understand the legal stuff. What happens if I get it wrong? How do I know where to find the right information? And those are all valid fears. We need to make sure that we are accessing the right advice from the beginning to make sure that there are no mistakes. Now, I don't say this to make you scared, but there are criminal legislation now, criminal proceedings that can take place if you underpay people on purpose. Now, it does not apply if you have done it inadvertently and you correct it really quickly. But if you do it on purpose and don't rectify it, there are detrimental consequences for you and the business as a whole. So, I guess most small business owners don't actually realize what's involved with hiring a new employee. There are many steps that need to take place, and I will absolutely run you through a few today. But what I wanted to caveat here is that this right here where you're starting the process is actually the point where you should invest in getting some professional help. Now, that could be in the form of a strategic conversation with a HR consultant, and they can help you in that time to identify awards, properly describe the role and how it fits within your organization. They can help you with identifying things with your contracts if you already had templates and all of those kind of things. So at this first point is actually probably where you should access some good HR advice. So let's move through a few steps of things like a checklist that you might be able to work through. So the first part is culture and fit. So we need to make sure that our organization has a really well-defined culture. Now that might be a bit hard if you're the only person in the organization, but it's what the future culture is going to look like. How is this person going to fit into our organization? Do we work remotely? Do they need to be in my physical location? All of those kind of things. And we need to do a bit of a job design. So we need to think about, is it a casual position? Is it a permanent part-time? How is this role going to fit within our organization? The other part is, what are they actually going to do? So I encourage entrepreneurs to actually identify the things that they don't enjoy, because those are the things that actually give you that feeling in your gut when you have to do them. But do you know what? There's people out there that are going to love it. I have to say, if I use my own team as an example, my team member loves certain things and I absolutely hate them. I detest them. And I love that I can send them to her and that I know that she's going to enjoy doing them. You need to find the yin to your yang and make sure that the person who's coming into your organization is going to work really well with you, but that you have different strengths and loves and enjoyment out of work. The next thing you need to confirm, once you've defined all of those things, we need to see where that fits under the award coverage. The definitions and classifications under the award are super important, because if we don't define the award correctly or the classification within the award correctly, how do we know what we've got to pay a person? How do we know what they're entitled to? How do we know what allowances they need to be paid? How do we know what our normal working hours are? All of those things are defined in an award. Now, there are roles out there that do not fit under an award. I get that. But we always have to go to the awards first and find out whether there is any place for this role to fit inside those awards. The next part of the process is creating a really clear employment contract. Now, I'm going to caveat here. Do not use a free contract template that you might find on Google. The reason for that is those templates do not protect you or the employee. They don't set out the terms and conditions of how we work together. They don't put protections in place for your business for them to steal your clients or to go out on their own business. It doesn't protect your intellectual property, all of those kind of things. So we need to get a really well-defined contract that speaks in normal terms. Once you then have got a contract in place, it's probably time you put a job advert out. Now, you need to advertise the role, you need to use all that information you've pulled together, potentially look at who else is advertising for the same kinds of positions and what are they paying, because in a lot of industries, paying the award wage is not going to cut it. You're going to need to pay above the award for their ordinary hours to actually attract a really good candidate. Another caveat I want to throw here is that sometimes you need to hire for fit rather than for skill. You need to hire an employee who's going to fit really well in your organization, because there's a lot of skills that you can teach them. They might have a really good base of transferable skills, but if you're looking for specific technical skills, unless it is like a must-have in your organization, I really want you to consider the fit over their necessary expertise and skills. Once you've chosen a person, obviously we're moving through the onboarding process. So we need to be sending out contracts, we need to be setting up payroll, we need to be setting up superannuation. Now you need to either chat with your accountant or your bookkeeper if you've got one on board to get all of those things set up. Obviously a HR consultant can help you with those as well. You need to make sure that everything is set up correctly so that if the person does overtime, works outside their normal work hours, does shift work, all of those kinds of things, whatever terms and conditions you've put in your contract, you need to make sure that those are covered off through the payroll and super setup. The next part is to set up the onboarding and induction process. Now, this is where, if you have listened to some of my other episodes, that you'll hear me talking about policies and procedures. This is where we induct a person into those and they agree to those. The other part of the process is making sure that their onboarding is smooth, letting other people know that they're coming on board if you've got more than a team of one. It's getting everything set up for them so that they are set up for success from the day that they walk in. I really want you to make sure that you're putting out a really good plan. It should be before they start, their start date. Their onboarding should also then cover the first 3 days, the first week, the first month, and then the first 3 months. So it gives them a guide of what success is going to look like across the first 3 months of their employment. Now, I understand that is a lot, and obviously you can come back and re-listen again to write your list down. But I do want to let you know that I have a checklist. So if you jump on our website, groundedhr.com, there is a checklist there that will actually give you all those things and also some more around what you need to be able to hire your first employee. Remember, you don't have to do it all alone. You can ask for help. We have tailored support options that can help you through this process. If it feels really overwhelming, then ask for help. I hope you have a beautiful week, and I will chat to you soon. Thanks for joining me today on the HR Link. If you found this episode helpful, make sure you hit subscribe or follow so that you don't miss out on any future episodes. We always aim to help you lead your team with confidence and care. And if you're ready to take the next step, I encourage you to explore the HR Link. It's your HR partner in your pocket. We provide practical, people-first support to Aussie Australian businesses. You'll find the link below. But up until next time, keep leading with clarity, care, and confidence, and we'll see you then.